Today, I want to talk about how we can do other creative things that still enhance our writing. This weekend, I was working on a particular scene where my character is with another character walking through this beautiful, grassy, lush area. And I want to point out that I did not come up with this art design myself. I ended up just browsing YouTube for different art tutorials, and I found this one, and I'll link to it down below. The channel has a bunch of other amazing art tutorials, even for beginners. But anyways, when I saw this particular tutorial, I was like, I need to draw this. And the main reason, besides it just visually looking like what I had envisioned in my mind, but the other reason was I was so stuck on how to write this scene. I had already started it and it was finished, or it was as finished as it was going to be at that moment. But I was just having such a hard time really feeling what my character should be feeling, and therefore I struggled with describing how my character would be feeling in that moment and what she might be saying to this other person that she's with. And so there are so many times where I'll just go on Pinterest and look up images to help spark some creativity and help me further imagine certain scenes. And I think that's still an absolutely amazing option and something I'm going to continue to do forever and ever, or use whatever, website you use to look at images for your book. But there was just something different about taking the time to draw something that really represents a scene in my book. I was able to spend more time with this art, with this scene, with this particular image, and really start to slowly build up the kind of emotion I want my character to have as I build each new layer for this artwork. And I think there's just something just different when you're still creating something versus looking at something else and just feeling quickly inspired by it. For example, I could have just seen this image on this person's YouTube channel and felt inspired and gone from there. It's not like I had to recreate the same drawing in order to see the same thing, because I was just recreating what someone else had drawn. But there was just something different with spending time doing it myself and feeling like it was part of my own creative process. And in the past, when I want to do other creative things besides writing, I feel like I'm just taking time away from adding more words to the page. But I really want to challenge myself and other people to not feel like that. Writing is not the only thing that you can do that contributes to your writing. Sometimes you just need to step back and take a break from the actual act of writing, or do something else that inspires or invokes some creativity for a part that you're really stuck on, especially if you're dealing with writer's block, especially if you're not feeling happy with what you've written. And I'm not talking about from an editing perspective, you should be happy with what you've written and that means it's perfect and you can move on. But there are times when we're writing even our first draft, and while you know that perfection is not the goal, there are some scenes where you're just like, this is absolutely terrible and it doesn't even get across the point you want it to make. But after drawing this, it really helped me get more into the headspace of my character, especially the view. This looks like I am the character and I am looking out at this beautiful scene in front of me. And that's really what I wanted my character to be doing as well. And because we just see these flowers and this hill and the clouds and the ocean, at first it is beautiful and you're happy to be surrounded by all this beauty and nature. But then there's no one else there. There are no other houses, no other people aside from the person standing next to her. And so I also took this as feelings of isolation after you've stopped being jaded by the beauty that you initially felt was in front of you. And so this is a Gothic book, and so that is really important. I want my character to feel isolated, and this image just so happens to do that for me. It's beautiful and isolating, and I don't think I would have fully been able to embody describing how my character feels in that moment without having taken the time to draw this image and really let myself think about how this would feel if I were there. There's just a difference between doing something yourself and quickly just looking at references. Again, nothing against using Pinterest. I'm still going to do that. I definitely don't plan on drawing every single scene in my book just to get a better representation in my head of what my character should be feeling, thinking, or talking about with someone else. But this image didn't only help me with the current scene I was working on, but it helped me to remember the feelings that I want my character to have in other scenes, not even related to her being outside in the gardens. Because whenever I look at this scene that I drew, I just remember beauty and isolation, and that can carry through to other scenes as well. So drawing this didn't just help me with one thing, it helped me with other areas as well. And so I want to relate this to other artistic things that you all might be interested in. That could be listening to music, or even making music, or crocheting, or knitting, or just any other kind of artistic thing that you're interested in. And if you're anything like me, you feel like doing something outside of writing is just taking away from your writing. And I just want to say again that it is not. Maybe you want to crochet a flower that your character really loves, or you want to listen to some music that really makes you feel a certain way. There are just so many ways we can express ourselves aside from writing that helps us write better. I hope that makes sense. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. But let me know in the comments, what are things that you do to get in a certain headspace before you start writing out scenes, especially if you've been struggling with writing a particular scene. I'd love to know.